I'm Grim, and this is Grim Built. You ever ask yourself, why would I pay somebody to screw up my stuff? Well, why pay somebody to screw up your stuff when you can screw it up yourself? Maybe even learn something in the process. Got a fun one today, y'all. Come check it out. Welcome to Grim Built, where I always say, why pay someone to screw it up and you can screw it up yourself? And maybe learn something in the process. Today we're working on the old Yukon. Even easier problem than the last time. Now I've heard of people doing battery conversions, but I guess we're about to do a deconversion. Now, this was originally a side post that somebody converted to a top post. I mean, maybe they were backed into a corner, just had to do what they had to do, right? I did add something to it just out of necessity, because I don't drive this thing every day. Having a battery disconnect is a good thing for short-term storage, but I think I'm going to drive this thing a little more than I have. But being as how it's an off-road vehicle, this thing's going to be bouncing around and there's no battery hold down. So more or less what we're going to have to do is change it back to a side post. First safety step is I'm going to disconnect the negative side of the battery. Just in case you're wondering, I am wearing the safety glasses because batteries. Next step is we're going to get these eyelets disconnected from the negative and then from the positive terminals. Now that we've gotten that done, we're going to take the battery isolator or quick disconnect off of the battery and then this other terminal. And now we're going to take these previously used terminals and this previously used cutoff and set them aside because I do have plans for them. Now we're going to take this battery out and put it somewhere else. Pleasantly enough, this thing doesn't look too crusty at all. Just because it's not crusty doesn't mean I'm not going to help it out. Now that helped it out considerably, but we still got to do something about the corrosion and the oxidation going on here. Now we're going to get it cleaned up and prep for paint. Now we've got one ground that goes to the engine, the other one goes to the body and the chassis. Where this attaches to the body, it's right down there. Well, don't be afraid to clean those things up before you spray paint because the paint will actually help any kind of rust or corrosion. Well, that's not going to work. We're going to have to do something about that. So I got some heat shrink tubing, a new ground eyelet, and some tools to work with because we're fixing that before we go any further. Now we're going to do this in real time. I've never done this before, not on camera anyways. Cut off the crusty piece and yeet that dude. Now we're going to strip this bad dude. For what we're doing, about that much is appropriate. Take your wire. I like to twist it clockwise, counterclockwise, whatever. You don't even have to twist it. That's just something I like to do. And I'm folding that dude over to double the size of the wire because the ground crimp that we're using, or the ground eyelet with the crimp, is about twice the gauge that we really need. But it's going to fit snug on when we do that. Now, once we crimp it down here, it'll actually kind of help it stay on a little bit. These are handy dandy little crimpers here. Crimp that dude on. We almost made a mistake, didn't we? No. You can't forget your heat shrink. Man, this is like making the perfect flare and then realizing you left the flare nut off. Good Lord. Yeah, don't forget to do that. Hey, this is me making mistakes in real time in real life. Nobody's perfect. And the fact is, we're using an eyelet that we have because sometimes you just got to work with what you got to work with. So that's good to snug. It's not going anywhere. I think I have to say that, because being a dad and all. Now, see, that doesn't quite want to go over there, but that's the appropriate size heat shrink tubing that we're using. So what we're going to do is flip this little crimp tool over there, crimp that dude in just a little bit, and then use our insulated side to shrink it, round it up, shrink it, whatever you want to call it. That's what I like to call it, is to shrink it. Got to shrink it a little bit, make it puppy nice and round, and that heat shrink should go right on over it. And boom, Bob's your uncle or auntie or whatever. So there's that. Now we're going to use a heat gun, heat shrink that dude real quick. Now we're going to take our handy dandy little bolt here, put it through the eyelet that we just put on, put it through the eyelet for the main cable to the body and chassis. Start that joker by hand. And Bob's your uncle. Now, because it's colder than a well digger's backside, we're going to apply just a little bit of heat to this thing so the paint will stick. Now, if you look, I'm not going too much heat, just enough. If you pay close attention, you can actually see the moisture lifting up out of the steel. That's really what we're looking for. Trying to get just enough heat on that thing so that any moisture that's stuck in that metal is going to be gone. Now, keep in mind, it's already a little rusted and a little corroded. Don't be afraid of a little open flame. It's not going to hurt anything. But we want to get all that out of there so the paint will stick a little better. And if we spray it in really thin coats, like we're about to do, it'll dry faster too. Now, if you took note, the beginning of this thing did not have a battery hold down in it. But I'm a GM guy who likes to hoard crap, so I just happen to have one hanging around. So now let's get the battery put in this dude. And we'll put the battery hold down in. You know they call it a battery hold down? Because it holds the battery down. Now, if you recall, the other battery had top post. This is what they call a side post battery. And the top post battery had a little apparatus like this. Now, these are just a universal one because somebody did me the honors of cutting the freaking ends off, and I just kind of had to do what I had to do on the side of the road one day. Now, that being the case, we got these, and well, here's another example of me having to do what I have to do. I had to solder these ends on here. You can get these at any auto parts store. Well, I say any. These ones I got from O'Reilly's right down the street. I hate to drop their name, but you know, they did supply me with the parts. Granted, I paid for them. They're not paying me to say this. But getting these onto a side post terminal, traditionally, is not something you can do. But we got a fix for that. You can get these little dudes right here, and they make this job a whole lot easier. Now, these things are pretty easy to install. This end goes in the battery, and this end, well, that's where we're going to put these. Now, it's a good idea when you put these on here, get them good and settled out of wherever they're going to go. Get your nut, and it's a good idea to use a flat washer or whatever washer you want to use. But personally, I use a flat washer on between the eyelets and the nut. And the purpose for that is when we go to tighten this son of a gun down, if we don't have that flat washer there, it's going to try to twist this whole wire pack. And we don't want that. So go ahead and hold on to our little handy dandy stud there. We're going to tighten this joker down sometime between now and the next century. Boom, Bob's your uncle. So now we've got the positive side and the negative side done. And we're going to go see if his joker starts. Alrighty then. Well, it's charging. That's a good sign. Now, there's a bunch of different disciplines and a bunch of people will tell you a bunch of different things to do. I'm going to tell you my version. I use clear coat to seal the terminals. That's just the way I do it. Been working pretty good so far. So I sprays me some clear coat on there. You can kind of see it. But the idea is we're just trying to prevent corrosion. Well, that's that. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. Or just roast me in the comments. Whatever, man. Be a good time for everyone. Till next time, y'all stay safe.